because nothing could be finer than talking sports with a Schweiner.
South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles,
Touchdown!
Sixers,
It's good!
and Flyers. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
The final show before Thanksgiving. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Hump Day Wednesday on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Glad to have you guys on board the show today. Oh, man, we got to squeeze in a lot in this show. So coming up in about 12 minutes from now, we'll have a Weinberg Wednesday with Dave Weinberg. And then coming up in about, it's around 6:40, we'll talk with Andy McNamara. We got a lot of football to get to, a lot of Eagles, a lot of NFL. And, of course, you guys can join the conversation. If you're leaving the Anchorage, I mean, everything I heard, it was an incredible party over there for 99 bottles. I'm sure some people are still over there. I mean, you know, I'm seeing some of the texts of people, you know, telling us what they won. You know, Bill and EHT texted in, say he won Sixers tickets. So congratulations to everybody who's a qualifier. Awesome time. So, but you got me for the next hour here on 97.3 ESPN tonight. Of course, on 97.3 ESPN, Sixers basketball at 8 p.m. Flyers hockey on Rock 104.1 at 7:30. We got a lot of Eagles to get to, but I want to start with the Sixers just for a quick minute because you can't overlook the fact that when you have a game like last night, where the Sixers, they probably shouldn't have won the game. Then they found a way to get back into the game and get it to overtime. And then they had the deflating loss in overtime. There's that part of you that kind of just looks around and you're just like, all right, well, that just happened. Right? So now Embiid's not playing tonight. And this is something that, you know, I just don't understand why this happens in sports. I don't understand why an organization like the the Sixers think this is okay. You can't go out there and have him be just not playing. I understand that, you know, look, we don't know if there's a legitimate injury or not. Okay. So I'm not going to sit here and suggest or infer anything. Not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be that person. But what I am going to be is the person that says, look, if Embiid could play tonight, at least give him some run. At least get him out there and get him some exercise. Get him running up and down the court. Do something. Because I don't like this idea of you lost a game last night. Embiid didn't play great. Let him come back out and get the bad taste out of his mouth. Instead, you're making this guy wait until the weekend to get the bad taste out of his mouth. He's just going to be sitting there with a pouty face on during the game tonight in Minnesota. You don't play again until Saturday. I just don't get it. I don't get why they couldn't have just let him play some tonight. Now, again, I'm working under the assumption that Joel Embiid is being load managed and he's mostly just resting. So, unless I had some other information that tell me that he is legitimately injured, then that's different. But like I said, for me, if I'm the Sixers, I want Joel to get out there and get the bad taste out of his mouth. This team started 8-1 on the season. And since starting 8-1, this team has gone 2-3 in the last 5 games. It's not a great look. And then you lose a game like you did last night. And B got so close to fouling out. It felt like every time he got near anyone, you were worried they would call a foul on him. And even Batum had 5 fouls. I mean, the whole team was in foul trouble, it seemed like most of the night. And then when Embiid fouls out, you're just like, all right, this game's over. And right now, as of tonight, it looks like it's just going to be Maxey, Melton, Harris, I guess, Batum, and Paul Reed. I guess. It's going to be a rough game tonight. I'm telling you guys right now, this Minnesota Timberwolves team is a very good team. So I tend to think this is going to be a long night. So lock yourself in, because Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert and company are probably going to have a big night. There's not going to be much Sixers can do, because without Embiid, you lose one of the biggest reasons why he is an impact player. It's not the offensive, it's the defensive stuff. There's a lot of guys who can score points in the NBA. There's not a lot of guys who can play defense and protect the rim and have the impact on the game like Joel Embiid does. So it's frustrating. I don't like seeing them not play him tonight. And as I said, after last night, I would have liked to see Embiid just go out and get the bad taste out of his mouth. Look, the whole team didn't shoot well last night. I understand that. But particularly Embiid and Maxey both significantly struggled on their shooting. The only guy who shot well last night was Tobias Harris. And he played the second most minutes of any guy last night. So, yeah, that's kind of the Sixers game tonight, 8 o'clock versus the Timberwolves. Tom McGinnis on the call right here on 97.3 ESPN. I'll check you on the text board in just a bit at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. A little Eagles news came out earlier. Nothing crazily significant, but I know it's hard to wrap our head around this. There's a game coming up on Sunday. There's an injury report that came out today on this short week. It just feels so weird when you're the team that has the Monday night game and then Thanksgiving is on Thursday. They were talking about on the New Heights podcast with Jason and his brother Travis Kelce about how, when you have a game on Monday, you don't really have an opportunity to maybe get away from the facility to go see family for Thanksgiving because of the fact that, you got to be right back there the next day because you got a game coming up on Sunday. So, and for the Eagles, not a bunch of surprises on the injury report, but I am curious about a couple names on there, right? The first name I'm curious about is what's going on with Justin Evans. The reason I say this is because this guy was a limited participant last week. He practiced every day, limited, but he did practice. And it was a little surprising that he was ruled out for the Monday night game. But you thought, all right, well, he practiced all last week. He should be good to go, right? Doesn't practice at all today. I got a little concerns about what's going on with the Eagles' depth because Evans is one of your main depth guys now that you've acquired Kevin Byard. And if anything happens to anyone in particular, whether it's safety, whether it's nickel corner, Evans was a guy who could slide into those positions. And now without him, it has to make you wonder. The other guy I'm curious about to see what happens is Milton Williams. And Milton Williams is currently in the concussion protocol. It's still early in the week. Can Philadelphia survive a game without him? Now, you might be looking at your radio, if you're listening on me on 97.3 ESPN FM, or you're listening to me on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thank you for listening to 97.3 ESPN. I got to tell you guys, Milton Williams might not be like the big guy who makes a bunch of statistical impacts on a game, but he has been a good role player as part of that defensive line this year. And you saw, even on Monday night, him have an impact on certain plays. This is a guy who has shown you that he is an important role player on this team. And when you start breaking down the snap counts, you realize that Milton Williams probably plays more than some people realize. This guy has played 46% of the defensive snaps this year. That's more than Jalen Carter. That's more than Jordan Davis. That's more than Brandon Graham. You starting to see the picture here? You have a guy who has played a lot of snaps for you this year. Milton Williams has 304 defensive snaps played. Jalen Carter is 10 behind him. And Jordan Davis is almost 30 behind him. Brandon Graham is about 100 behind him. So that gives you an idea of how important this guy is. This guy is somebody who has been an important part of this team. So something to keep an eye on as the week progresses. All right, coming up next, talk with Dave Weinberg. This week's edition of Weinberg Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Black Nissan.
You're currently stuck in a loan or lease. AJ, the trade man, can get you released. Matt Black Nissan.com. It's on at Matt Black Nissan on the Black Horse Pike in Harbor Township.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Pluto TV is your home for the holidays with 9 holiday channels, including holiday movie favorites by Lifetime, plus Hallmark movies and more, all for free. Download the Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
At the Home Depot, we have all kinds of trees, but the one thing they have in common is they were all made for joy. Like the 7.5-foot Jackson Noble Fir artificial Christmas tree for only $2.99. It easily clicks into place and comes to life with 1,200 color-changing lights in 8 different remote control settings. When you buy your tree at the Home Depot, not only will you get more out of it, you'll be able to put more under it. Bring home joy with your perfect tree from the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
I hate free money and finishing first. Said no one ever. At Raceway Kia on Ridge Pike, you'll finish first by saving big with Black Friday all month long. No money down, no interest, and no payments for 90 days. Finish first with up to a $1,000 Amex gift card with select purchases. And right now, buy a 2023 Kia Forte LXS for under $20,000. Stop by Raceway Kia today or visit online at racewaykia.com. Approved credit with Kia Method. Excludes tax, title, license, and fees. See dealer for details. Offer ends 11/30/23.
Amazon's got the best deals on Black Friday. Oh, the best deal on Cyber Monday. Friday comes first when it comes to saving. Monday's with the rate for what you've been craving. Deals so good it'll feel like stealing. Real cool message, could you make it less appealing? What's with the beef? You can get that too. What you call us? What's triggering you? It's Shepherd Day you're shopping on. You'll save a bunch. Amazon. Black Friday, Monday too.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
76ers head to Minnesota. I'm Danny Ryan with your South Jersey Sports Center. The Sixers lost to the Cavaliers 112-119 in overtime last night and are now 2-2 in the tournament group stage and 10-4 on the season. Next up, the Sixers travel to Minnesota for a battle with the Timberwolves tonight. Listen live on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage starts at 8. After beating the Chiefs 21-17 Monday night on the road in Arrowhead, the Kelly Green Eagles welcome the Buffalo Bills to Philly on Sunday. Listen live on 97.3 ESPN. Pregame starts at 3. Maryland might have the call at 4:25. The Flyers hit the road on a 5-game win streak for a battle with the Islanders tonight. Listen live on Rock 104.1. Coverage starts at 7:30. For more Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, and Flyers, download our free mobile app. Your forecast is next.
This is an important safety message from the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety.
I'm Colonel Callahan of the New Jersey State Police. Last year, over 25% of traffic fatalities were related to alcohol or drug impairment, a staggering statistic. When you choose to drive under the influence, you're risking it all. Make the right choice. We are all counting on you.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Temperatures are about to get cold again, not necessarily for Thanksgiving Day tomorrow, but for the rest of the holiday weekend. Not a freeze tonight, low 44 degrees, maybe a spotty shower this evening, otherwise clearing skies. For tomorrow, turning mostly sunny with a brisk wind gusting over 20 miles an hour, high of 55. 48 on Friday, only reaching 43 degrees on Saturday. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Love a free second chance to win money? Well, the Green Ball is back on Jersey Catch 5 from the New Jersey Lottery. When the Green Ball is drawn, players get a free second drawing and the chance to win up to $100,000. Play today. This only lasts until December 3rd. Restrictions apply.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Let's continue the Eagles conversation right now. Dave Weinberg is back for today's edition of Weinberg Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, welcome back. Happy Thanksgiving. How you doing today?
Same to you, Josh. I'm doing well, thanks.
So what were your thoughts on Monday night? The Eagles finally beat Andy Reid, Dave.
Yeah, big win for them. I mean, it wasn't looking too good at halftime, but they certainly turned it around in the second half and found a way to get it done. I was really impressed with the defense shutting out the Chiefs in the second half. That almost never happens to an Andy Reid coach team. So, congrats to the Eagles. Now 9-1, best record in the league, right?
They do have the best record in the league. And, you mentioned how they turned things around. And I want to ask you a question that was asked to me yesterday, Dave, which is if Sean Desai was the defensive coordinator instead of Jonathan Gannon in the Super Bowl, do the Eagles win that game?
It's awfully tough to play that game. Maybe because Gannon didn't really make many adjustments at halftime of the Super Bowl, whereas Desai did. So I guess there's a chance, but I don't know. Kansas City definitely deserved to win the Super Bowl. It's tough to say what the outcome would be just because the coordinators are different.
Yeah, there's a no right answer to the question.
Yeah.
But I do think that I saw Desai make adjustments on Monday night.
Sure.
And I thought that one of the big adjustments, Dave, was the fact that basically at one point it was like Desai just turned to everybody and said, Travis Kelce's not getting the ball anymore. I don't care anymore. Like, let anyone else catch it. And at the end of the night, the Chiefs' other receivers had 17 catches on 30 targets. So the strategy worked. Now, part of it's because the Chiefs have the worst catching team in football this year. But still, it's just, when you see a guy make an adjustment like that and it work out so well, it definitely catches your attention.
Sure. But didn't Kelce have that fumble in the second half or no in the red zone?
He did. Bradley Roby punched it out.
Yeah. So, they score there. Maybe it's a different game. If Marquez Valdez, whatever his name is,
Valdez Scantling.
Yeah, it doesn't drop that freaking 51-yard right in his hands. I mean, then it's a different ball game too. I mean, the side certainly deserves some credit, but the Chiefs kind of helped them along a little bit too with their slippery fingers.
Yeah, when you have a team that's 26 drops on the year.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Mike,
I
don't even understand how that even works. I mean, how does anybody have that many drops? You're in the NFL. You're wearing gloves, for goodness sake.
Really? They had 3 in the last drive, right?
They had 3, yeah.
The last one was kind of questionable. I mean, that was a bullet right to off the guy's fingertips, but still, it should have been caught, I think.
It's just another example why I tell people that, we blame the quarterback for so much, but yet the receivers aren't catching the ball. It's not Mahomes' fault.
Absolutely. I mean, it's tough to pin. I mean, the quarterback gets the incompletions, but it's certainly not all his fault. That's for sure.
Talking with Dave Weinberg for a Weinberg Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, I know that you have been not the biggest fan of Nick Sirianni over the years, but he is now the 6th NFL coach since the merger in 1970. The start of season 9-1 in back-to-back seasons. All the other coaches led their teams back to the Super Bowl. What do we do right now with Nick Sirianni with the way things are now?
What do you mean? What do we do?
Well, like how do we quantify him at this point in time?
Still not a fan. But I give him his due. Yeah, I mean 9-1, but they're not back to the Super Bowl yet, right? I mean, when he does,
True.
then yeah, he certainly deserves a lot of credit for it. I just don't. I, I, it's not that it's the way. It's not his coaching that bothers me. It's just his attitude, the way he conducts himself, the arrogance, the cockiness, this when there's an incomplete pass, like you had anything to do with it. It just irks me. I know. I mean, I know that's his personality, I guess. I mean, Pete Carroll's kind of the same way. Not to that degree, though. I mean, I don't know. I just
Pete's not as confrontational as Sirianni is.
No, yeah, and I don't understand where it comes from. I mean, he's got no grounds to do that. I just don't. I don't know. I'm not a fan of his at all, and then that's mostly why.
I mean, listen. First of all, Ryan Rothstein agrees with you completely. He has the same position.
Oh yeah,
on this.
Interesting.
I
knew I liked Ryan.
What's that?
I knew I liked Ryan.
But my thing is that like I'm conflicted on it because one hand I want the guy to be himself. Like I want him to be who he is. I don't want him to fake it till he makes it. But on the flip side, I do agree that it's like at some point you got to reel it back in. You can't go full pro wrestling heel mode every game,
Yeah, I mean, this isn't college. This isn't high school. You're in the NFL. Can you just kind of act professionally? Is that too much to ask?
But Dave, how many college coaches even act like that?
True.
You know what I mean?
That's also true. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just so unbecoming. I mean, it kind of fits Philly. I get it, but he's trying to be a man of the people or whatever, I guess. But
I don't see that. That's where I disagree. I don't think he's trying to be anything. I think this is literally who he is. I think he is just this character. I think it's just because I've watched him do interviews and like he's just a different bird. You know what I mean? Like he's, it's like when you go to it's like if you go like to the zoo or something, you see a bunch of animals who are like the same breed, and you have the one animal that looks completely different than the rest of them, and you're like, "Are you sure that's a duck?" And they're like, "Oh no, that's a dog. It just looks different."
Well, walks like a duck, talks like yeah. He's certainly different. I mean, it's just the acquired taste, I guess, and I just haven't acquired it yet.
What's interesting is that Jalen Hurts did have a great game on Monday night, Dave.
No, 150 yards. That's the lowest of the season. Yep.
But guess what? All he does is keep winning. Do you think that people don't appreciate the fact that this guy literally just wins all the time?
Maybe outside people or kind of have that view. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, you can't argue with the results with Jalen. I mean, he finds a way to get it done. Like you said, he may not be the most accurate guy all the time. He might make some mistakes along the way, but when push comes to shove and you need a big play, then you get that strike to Devontae Smith, or you get the 2 touchdown runs, or that's just the way he's wired. And no matter how he does it, the fact that he does it should be all that Eagles fans are concerned about.
Now, Dave, I want to ask you because you've seen a lot of different iterations of this Eagles football team over the years.
Oh yeah.
Any concern that this Sunday could be a letdown game?
Yeah, I was just thinking. I was talking to a buddy of mine about that last night, actually. Yeah, there's a chance. I think that was a pretty emotional win on the road, Monday Night Football. You have it's not much of a short week, but it is a short week. It was a pretty physical game. So I think there's a chance. I mean, the Bills are such an inconsistent team. We really don't know what to expect from them, but. Yeah, I could see that there might be a little bit of letdown. I still think the Eagles will win, but I don't think it's going to be a rout or anything. I think it's going to be a really close game. I guess that's why the line is the way it is.
It's interesting you said that because, for me, Dave, I feel like people look at the Bills and all they see is a team with their record, but they don't actually see the team itself.
Yeah.
And people don't realize the Eagles are number 2 in the NFL in quarterback pressures. The Bills are number 1. So for as much as that team has been ridiculed, they're getting after quarterbacks. So I'm a little concerned that, with the way the Eagles O-line seems to take a half the game to wake up.
Yeah, that was shocking, wasn't it?
I mean, that one blitz by Trent McDuffie off the corner, it was like Lane didn't even see him. Like he just kind of was like, well, where'd he come from? It was like,
it kind of cracks me up how they, how they assign, like they rate offensive line and, whether they allowed a sack or not. And it's clear that Lane allowed at least one the other night, but everybody's saying, well, that was supposed to be a screen pass. So he really wasn't blocking the guy. That's why the guy got the sack. And regardless, he was blocking the guy got past him. He got the sack. It's on Lane Johnson. I mean, he's a great offensive lineman. Don't get me wrong, but you got to at least criticize him once in a while.
oh yeah, I mean that to me that was one of the moments where I was just like, did I just see what happened? Because usually I was explaining this to a buddy of mine yesterday. It's like, and I only know this because if you listen to people like the Brian Baldingers and the guys who played in the league and not, they explained that like Lane's job is supposed to be like, okay, I see that guy now, I gotta at least route my guy inside or take care of him on the outside or something like. You got to do something in that situation. And look, not every sack in the first half, those 5 sacks were Lane Johnson's fault, but it just felt like, if the first half Eagles show up again this Sunday, I think Eagle fans should be concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I don't think they can afford to get off to another slow start like that.
The other thing is, and Dave, let me ask you, Dave Weinberg joining us for a Weinberg Wednesday at Dave Weinberg 19 on the Twitter X platform, Extra Point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. People are trying to make analogies of what Josh Allen is. Some people are saying he's like John Elway. Some people are saying it's like Brett Favre because of the turnovers he has. What do you classify him as for you?
That's tough. He reminds me kind of a Ben Roethlisberger a little bit, only because he's such a big guy and can run. Ben not quite as much as Josh. He's an excellent two-way player. I don't think he gets enough credit for the way he can. He's not going to rush for 100 yards normally, but really tough to bring down. And he'll pick up a first down. Yeah, granted, he does make mistakes as well. I wouldn't go as far as Brett Favre though. I think he's much bigger than Brett. He's kind of like his own guy. It's kind of tough to compare him to anybody, to be honest with you. I don't know, Cam Newton maybe. I don't know. He's just such a big guy and he's fast too, but he does make mistakes. So I don't know. It's kind of a tough. It's kind of tough to compare him to anybody.
I mean, I personally like the Elway comparison just because of how many seasons Elway threw a ton of interceptions, and people conveniently forget that Elway was a turnover machine in the 80s. And he only won a championship later in his career. Elway never won a championship before he got, Terrell Davis and Shannon Sharp and that great offensive line.
Yep.
So, to me, I kind of look at Allen as maybe if you gave him better talent around him, maybe he would be a little differently.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, he doesn't have a whole lot of weapons around him. There's no question about that. Except for Diggs, basically. That's it.
Yeah, and supposedly Diggs is complaining all the time. So we know how that goes.
Well, look at A.J. Brown, right?
Yeah, but A.J. Brown doesn't have a brother tweeting about how he shouldn't be on the team.
Oh, no. That's true. Yeah, definitely. I was surprised they win with A.J. Brown with one catch for 8 yards, and they win anyway.
Listen, it's something to be said about the fact that this team is, I mean, you would understand this analogy maybe better than some people, Dave. You know what the Eagles remind me of? They remind me of a boxer who basically just wins off of like body shots. Like they don't knock out anybody. They just like pick people apart and they just win these ugly fights at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's good. Chris Bird was kind of like that. I don't know if you remember who he is, but a left-handed heavyweight or light heavyweight, moved up and never really knocked anybody out, but just won, just picked you apart. Great defense, just never made any mistakes. That's kind of the way the Eagles are. Yeah, that's a pretty good comparison.
Yeah, I've tried to make the comparison to other people. People just kind of looking like I got like two heads. So, it's like, all right, well, let me ask the Boxing Hall of Fame writer. Maybe he'll understand my analogy. So
I did. Yes, I did.
I'm glad. Before I let you go, I did want to ask you about the news that the Colts have released Shaq Leonard, the linebacker. Adam Schefter is reporting that the two teams that are most interested potentially are the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Oh,
what are your thoughts on Shaq Leonard, the linebacker?
It's he could probably help. The Eagles need help at linebacker. They do. They just that seems to be one of their weak spots, along with the secondary too. More help you can get on defense, the better you're going to be. So it's worth taking a look, kicking the tires, and see what you got there. I wouldn't have any problem with that.
I think it's interesting because, someone brought up to me earlier today, I think it was Mike Gill, about the fact that, Shane Steichen is now in Indianapolis and Nick Sirianni used to be in Indianapolis. And maybe there's some, exchange of like a phone call, maybe that could be made. You just be like, hey, why'd you guys cut this guy? Because for those who don't know the full story, Dave, just for the people listening out there on the radio, one of the reasons that this is such a weird situation is because Shaq Leonard was completely blindsided by getting cut. Like there was no precursor to this move. So,
really? I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was literally, he was starting every week. And then all of a sudden he had a reduced role this past Sunday. And then he gets cut and he basically got cornered because he was at a charity function, giving people turkeys. And it's just like, yeah, I just got cut.
Man, this is a cruel business, isn't it? Oof. And that's surprising. I mean, but he must have done something wrong. I don't know. Or maybe they're going. Maybe it's kind of like the Commanders kind of like selling off parts now. I don't know, but just to cut the guy, that makes no sense.
Yeah, and I mean, Irsay is on Twitter having rants about how he's going to sue ESPN. So I mean,
oh yeah,
maybe the organization is just a bit of a mess right now. But I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still an interesting guy because, like you said, they do need depth at position. But of course, how Eagle fans are. If he signs with the Cowboys, he is going to be the second most hated man. So
that's always the case. That was Marquise Bell, right? The Bridgeton guy for breaking Dallas Goedert's arm.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's like, it's like you try to remind people that it's like, oh, he's from South Jersey. We don't care.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Speaking of high school, before I let you go, Dave, George from Summers Point did want me to ask you about tomorrow being Thanksgiving. High school football is completely almost dead here in South Jersey. And he wanted to know, was there any high school games that you covered that were some of your favorites?
On Thanksgiving or just in general?
Thanksgiving.
Oh, boy. That's a tough one. Trying to think. There was one. It was way back. Ocean City, Pleasantville, and Ocean City was favored by, I don't know, 3-4 touchdowns. And I can't remember the guy's name from Pleasantville. Oh, Francis Brooks. He was a state champion track star. He went by Don. Everybody called him Don Brooks, and he single-handedly beat Ocean City on Thanksgiving. It was in Ocean City. It was this huge upset. Brooks ran for I don't know, 250 yards or something like that, and upset the Red Raiders. I do remember that game in particular. But whatever. I mean, I covered Thanksgiving games forever, and there was always great rivalries. I mean, Absegami Oakcrest. I went to that game. Atlantic City, the Holy Spirit, of course. I still remember Ed Burns charging out on his shorts, and the late Holy Spirit coach. And there's always seems to be one game or games where somebody you never heard of comes away and has a big game. I mean, Brooks was pretty good anyway, but for him to do that to Ocean City was pretty memorable.
Dave Weinberg at Dave Weinberg 19 on the Twitter X platform, Extra Point Comms over at 97.3 ESPN.com. And I assure you have a great day lined up with your grandkids tomorrow for Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got a new smoker that I'm trying out, so I'm kind of experimenting a little bit. But yeah, it should be special. Just have my boys over is going to be great.
Well, don't experiment too much. You end up on one of those, videos.
YouTube video. Yeah. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not frying it. I'm not going to see any fire or anything now.
My favorite story, really quick. So, a couple of years ago, apparently there was a guy in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
He left his turkey in a super fryer. He left his house to go down the street to the store. He came back 10 minutes and his house was exploded.
Oh my gosh.
Because he was trying to deep fry the turkey.
Right.
And all the chemicals and all this, there was no ventilation for it. So it was built up in the oven and just the whole house blew up.
Oh gosh, man. I know a lot of people like to fry turkeys, and but I don't know. I've never been a fan of it. I mean, It tastes pretty good. It seems like more work than it's worth.
Yeah, I'd rather not blow up my house. That's
Yeah,
what I think.
I'm with you there. Yep. Good
Dave,
point.
happy Thanksgiving. I appreciate you jumping on.
You too. Thanks very much for having me. I really do appreciate it, Josh. Have a happy Thanksgiving as well.
You too. Josh Hennig here on Game Night 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle's rapid fire. A couple texts in here. Shaner and EHT wants to know, how much do you think the Eagles secondary have failed or succeeded? They both saved and almost blew the last game. You know, it's interesting because I think that Roby was caught, Shaner, on just a bad route kind of thing. I think that was just a situation where, you know, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he caught him, and that's why he got by him. And you're right, Byard made a great play at the earlier in the game on the interception. So I think overall the defense is doing well. Dan in EHT says, no nonsense question statements from me today, Josh. I just want to say happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the football. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you too, Dan in EHT. Justin from Galloway chimes says, Josh, I'm telling you, the play calling in the first half of the Eagles was horrible. We had to shake things up, enough bubble screens and wide receiver screens. More, I believe he's trying to say crossing patterns. Go Birds, Justin and Galloway. Well, thank you, Justin. I appreciate you chiming in. Well, I think you got to give Brian Johnson credit. He did make adjustments at halftime. He definitely made some changes, did things a little differently from the first half to the second half. I think you got to give Johnson credit for adjusting. You know, maybe if that was another coach, maybe they don't make those adjustments. So keep that in mind. All right, coming up next, more football talk. Andy McNamara joins me here. He is back for another week of football talk on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Maxey gets a lane. Maxey down the, oh, baby, a left-hand jam. Maxey flushes, and the Sixers lead. He's skied down the lane.
The Sixers are in Minnesota to face the T-Wolves. Tonight, coverage begins at 8 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
It's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles. Here's a winner: fall football and Chickies and Pete's mouth-watering snow crab legs. For a limited time, buy one and get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday. Enjoy the sweet, delicate flavor of snowy white crab meat dressed in our special blend of seasonings and spices. Pair it with an ice-cold draft beer or one of our signature cocktails. Buy one and get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday for a limited time. Restrictions apply. Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, and we are prouder than ever to partner with the Philadelphia Eagles. Chicky and Pete's has been named the official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, and we continue to serve as the official caterer of both Eagles training camp and the official caterer of the First Trust Bank Club at Lincoln Financial Field. Go where the players go. The official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies Pete's.
It's pro time at Lowe's. Get big savings and rewards during Provember. Right now, buy one exclusive DeWalt 20-volt Max XR Power Detect 2-tool combo kit. Get one select Power Detect Bear tool free. That's up to a $249 value. And there's more. Save $200 on a DeWalt 12-inch dual bevel sliding miter saw. Because Lowe's knows tools, Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 11/22 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
At Raceway Nissan, you always finish first. How do we make sure you finish first this November? With Black Friday all month long. Finish first with 0 down, 0 interest, and no payments for 90 days on select models. Or with up to a $1,000 MX gift card with select purchases. And right now, buy a 23 Nissan Sentra for just $19,500. Stop by Raceway Nissan today or visit online at racewaynissanNJ.com. Unapproved credit, excludes tax, title, license, and fees. Stock number PY 292955. See dealer for details. Number ends 12/4/23.
Don't miss the last days of Black Friday deals at Target. Save up to 50% on select tech and video games. Plus, save up to 40% on select small appliances, 40% off pajamas for the family, and so much more. And get free shipping when you spend $35 or use your red card at Target.com. But hurry, these Black Friday deals end Saturday. Get low prices and great Black Friday deals now, only at Target. Exclusions apply.
With GMF financing to qualify buyers excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales. When you need a car, there's only one thing to know. There's no beating Bennett. While other dealers are still selling at or even above MSRP, Bennett is selling new vehicles at the GM supplier employee price. Not one penny more. That could easily save you 10% or thousands of dollars on your next car. But that's just the beginning, because Bennett gives you all the rebates. Not either or, you get both. And if you want used, the news gets better. Bennett is paying a whopping minimum 10 grand for any trade towards any pre-owned in stock. That's a minimum $10,000 for total junk. Imagine how much more you'll get if your trade actually runs. And finally, our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction, not how much you spend, so there's never any pressure. It's actually a very pleasant experience. But don't take our word for it. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
iPhone 15 Pro on Verizon and other Apple gifts this Black Friday.
Hurry in this Black Friday. Trade in any iPhone in any condition for a great deal on the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium and iPad and Apple Watch SE with unlimited Ultimate. Additional terms and conditions apply. Go to your local Verizon store now.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every basket, every game, every point, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a game-winning goal in the final seconds of overtime or a shot on goal in the first period. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only, must be present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
Purchase new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts today and we'll install them for free. See better and drive safer with O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
When you wake up well-rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
My life coach has a terrible life.
Things you missed when you were tired finally reveal themselves.
My passport is in the pocket of the duffel bag I took to Mexico.
It's the Black Friday sale at Mattress Firm. Get a king bed for a queen price and save up to $700 on Sealy. Plus, get a free adjustable base with select mattresses. And if you see a better price, we'll match it. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
It's Sage Jewelers. Great half-off everything sale going on now.
Sage Jewelers says everything in the store is on sale at half off.
That's right. 50% off their finest selection of GIA certified diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, engagement rings, top designer jewelry collections, and more.
But hurry, the sale won't last long. Sage Jewelers, the real jeweler. Tilton Road, Northfield, open every day until Christmas.
Sage Jewelers, the ultimate expression of love.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Thanks everybody who texted in during the break. Mike in Hamilton, Justin in Galloway, Dan in EHT. I'm always going to say before we get to Andy McNamara, I'm always thankful for all the listeners. You know, I ran into some great people over the weekend out and about, whether it was Slack Tie Brewing or Bear Brewing. You know, a lot of people I meet out and about. It's always great to meet you guys and hang out. So I would say one of the things I'm thankful for Thanksgiving is all the great listeners that we have here at 97.3 ESPN. Andy McNamara, we're thankful for him as well. He joins us right now to talk a little more NFL. Andy, welcome back, my friend. I know in Canada it's a little different up there, but happy Thanksgiving anyway. How you doing?
Happy Thanksgiving to you. I'm thankful for you, brother, and to all the listeners too. Very thankful and always love being on with you guys. Yeah, our Canadian Thanksgiving is in October, but I always try to make it a point to celebrate the American Thanksgiving too, because, well, there's football all day. So I try to usually book the day off work or take kind of like a half thing, have some pizza, sit down and watch some football.
What is that, Domino's Pizza?
Oh yeah, baby. You know it. I didn't know if I could say the name on the station. So if they're not saying, we're not plugging.
That's it. Until I get a pizza advertiser, you know, I'm open for business. So.
Okay. Hey, now, you know, let's talk off. Maybe we can talk. We'll talk to my guy. Okay.
you know a guy? What do you?
I got a guy.
Now? You got a guy?
got a pizza guy.
Eagles win a ugly game on Monday night, and I was saying this before you came on. I feel like the Eagles are turning into that team, Andy, that like they just don't win aesthetically pleasing games, and maybe that is their calling card. Maybe their calling card is they're the fighter who just like picks people apart and wins an ugly street fight. Like, you remember the movie Rocky 5? You may not, because it was not a great movie. But
sadly.
Remember this scene where Rocky and Tommy are in the street and he yells at him. He's like, "This ain't a boxing match. This is a street fight now, Tommy." And it's like, I feel like that's what the Eagles do. The Eagles go into Kansas City and yelled across the field, "This is a street fight. This is not a regular match anymore."
Yeah, and I think that game actually kind of followed the Rocky 5 trend of not being good either. So kind of the analogy really locks in together there. But yeah, hey, Josh, here's the thing. When you're a great team, I think when we look overall, right? At the end of the year, you look back at a team's record. Wow, what a great season. Or you look back at overall stats. Holy. But the individual journey along the way per game, there's a lot of ugly spots. Kansas City has a lot of ugly spots, but you win and you find a way, and they didn't, but the Eagles did. Look, Jalen Hurts didn't throw a touchdown. What does he do? Runs in a couple. What is the in-game? And you mentioned the first half to the second half adjustments. The coaching staff adjusts. I think Andy Reid got out-coached personally. I thought he got a little too now, I'm not blaming Pat Mahomes, and you certainly can't coach drops in a game. Good Lord. If half of those are caught, we might be having a different conversation. But this goes to show, I think, from at least myself and certainly the Kansas City front office, really underestimated the value Tyreek Hill had. Josh, it was just like, we got Pat Mahomes, Tyreek Hill. It'll be Kadarius Toney. It'll be Sky Moore. Easy to replace a Tyreek Hill. Not so much. And we're seeing the big hole that he still leaves in that Kansas City lineup.
It's interesting because no one can name a quarterback who didn't have a really good receiver who was great. So it's like, this idea, like, listen, for as much as people like you and I love Jalen Hurts, we also know that A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are very important to his success. And we look at the Mahomes. Look, when you got 5 drops in a game, it goes back to we put this super emphasis on these quarterbacks and their win-loss record and their completion percentage. And you could argue that, maybe if Pat Mahomes doesn't get dinged as much for some of these mistakes, they're not his fault. Maybe things are different.
Yeah. Look, Justin Watson, at first glance, he caught a touchdown. But 11 targets, 5 catches, and the drops. And he kept going back. And to Mahomes' credit, like, he kept trying to go back and get the kid, give him more confidence and all that. But there was just way too many drops. Now, is that a one-off? Is that a trend? Was it weather? I don't know. But what we're seeing is nobody has been able to fill even a part way. I'm not saying that a guy has to come in and beat Tyreek Hill. Very few are. But to not even be able to truly take a number one. Like, Josh, there's no number one wide receiver on this team. It's Travis Kelce, and it's guys. It's WR3s galore, all about. You can replace any one of those guys, and none of them are doing anything special. They could. Like, I still have hope. I think Rashee Rice could develop into a top wide receiver. Is he getting enough chances? You could argue maybe not. But even with the ones he does, he's not necessarily doing a whole lot with. So it's there. You get the flashes. But for Kansas City, this is not the same dominant cakewalk to the Super Bowl, man. Like, they're tied record-wise with the Jacksonville Jaguars, with the Cleveland Browns, and they're behind the Ravens.
By the way, I got to ask you, because I don't want to run out of real estate here. As a Browns fan, how satisfying was it that you got Matt Canada fired?
Oh, after so many times where the Steelers beat the Browns and Browns had to fire their coaches and all that. But much like those decisions made, it was the right decision to fire those coaches. And I almost feel a little bit disappointed because I would have loved to have Matt Canada remain Steelers OC forever. Forever. I was hoping Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett would be in lockstep, Josh, for the next decade, and the Steelers would do nothing. Horrible offense, uncreative. The one thing you had working was Jalen Warren. He's like, nah, none of that. No thanks. Fantasy football owner screaming in my DM, what's going on? I was like, I don't know. But now you have Kenny Pickett, and we're going to find this out. This is going to be interesting. Was it all Matt Canada, or was Matt Canada, who I don't believe me, I do not think he's a good coordinator offensive mind. But did he feel so hindered, so locked by the lack of overall athleticism and ceiling that what you can do with Kenny Pickett, that really stifled the whole thing? Kenny Pickett's not good. Like, Josh, I could find you, and you could too.
Oh no, I don't disagree on
Kenny
that
Pickett
point.
every year, 3rd to 5th round, we could find a Kenny Pickett, no problem. Nothing special about him.
it's like the thing that happened with Russell Wilson in Denver. Like, Denver looks like a functional football team after being an abomination last year. And by the way, if you're playing fantasy football, you're happy if Russell Wilson is your backup QB because he's having a good fantasy season.
He is statistically quietly because of the debacle to start the year. Remember the 70 points Miami posted up on them? Looked like a disaster. But now they've rattled off 4 in a row. They've got some sort of belief. They're keeping it simple. The defense is not great against the run. It's, I believe, ranked last in run defense, but the defense is getting turnovers. And then the offense is doing just enough, and they're running the ball. So it's a very interesting blend. And as much as we dumped on Sean Payton earlier, and rightfully so this year, credit to him for not letting that team get away, because this season could have been in the toilet by now, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it could have gone completely sideways.
Yeah.
Andy, we do have football tomorrow and Friday.
Yes.
So we should tap into those really quick. By the way, you can hear both of those games. Actually, I say all 4 of those games right here on 97.3 ESPN. We will have all the games on Thanksgiving Day and on the app, by the way. People can listen to the games on the app too, Andy, by the way.
Nice.
So
Love it.
We got you covered on all the bases here. Do we really think the Packers were the Packers a team that took advantage of Brandon Staley, or are the Packers waking up at all? Because I'm telling you right now, every sports book in New Jersey has this as a 7.5 point spread for the Lions.
Yeah, I'm taking the Lions all day in this. A lot of it to do with the injuries to the Packers. You look up and the Aaron Jones out. A.J. Dillon is injured. There's some guy, Emmanuel something. He's out. Even that guy who no one knows about is out. And you got the wide receivers banged up and down. So for Jordan Love, who I'll give the guy a bit of credit. He started hot, got figured out. He's starting to climb back a little bit. But I just think it's with how good the Lions are playing and how dinged up they are. 7.5. Like, Josh, to be honest, I think give me 10 on that. I would take the Lions.
Cowboys team total is 30.5. You like it or no?
Again, you know what? Yes, I do. And I hesitated for a moment, and then I remembered they got rid of Chase Young and Montez Sweat. So yes, I do like it for that team total. Commanders are kind of weird because I kind of still feel like with how much they throw, they can kind of by fluke get themselves back in games, but I think we're now on a nice steady decline for the Commanders.
Yeah, Sam Howell still leads the NFL in passing yards.
Wild.
So, I mean, maybe Eric Bieniemy is that good of a coach and nobody realized it. I don't know, but
you might get a chance to interview. I think Ron Rivera's got to be gone after this year with the new owner, don't you think? Like, you gotta. This is the freebie year. He's got his toy.
I mean, you're a Browns fan. You know how NFL owners are weird. Like,
yes,
it's hard to know with these guys.
What a weirdo. Yeah, they're all crazy billionaires. This new guy's a crazy billionaire. He was giving out, remember, hot dog night or whatever? That was how he got the fans back. $1 dog night or whatever. Brilliant. So I don't know what the heck he's going to do. Yeah.
Well, the first thing Josh Harris did was he called into the main radio flagship station in D.C. and bought the whole brewery beer.
That's an all right dude. All right, that's an all right guy. You can't argue with that. You buy the masses what you want, right? You look back to the Roman Empire and the Colosseum. What did they keep to keep the masses docile? You gave them entertainment. You gave them blood, guts, booze. It's good. And probably dollar dogs back then too.
Maybe so. Maybe they were 5-cent dogs for all
5-cent dogs.
Yeah, you got to factor in inflation.
Caesar dogs.
Yes. Before I let you go, is Sunday's Eagles-Bills game a potential trap game for the Eagles?
Gosh, you know what? I don't think so. I think if it was a real lesser opponent, like if you were going up against the Jets or something, like, well, we know what happened against the Jets this year, but
we do. Yes, we know very well.
But you know what I mean? If it was like a bum team, whatever. But the Bills are good enough. Like, you still have to respect the Bills. I still think they have the cachet that a team can get up for it. Not the end of the world if they lose. It's not a conference game and they got the best record, yada, yada. But I still, Josh, I don't know, man. Like, you have a closer to the ground feel than I do about this team. But from afar, what I feel, see, read is that this team is locked in. Like, they're locked in. Like that Jalen, who jumped and tried to get the spike from Pat Mahomes.
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter. I want to see someone try that every game. That was brilliant. Like, these guys, they're dialed in. So I don't think there's really anybody at this point in the year they're going to be overlooking, because now it's going to start dialing into, okay, now postseason, now we got to stay sharp. And the Bills can still beat you any given day. So I think they'll be ready.
At Andy MC81 on the Twitter X platform, the host of the Sick Podcast. Andy, go ahead and plug what you got going on for the next few days here.
All right, thanks, buddy. Yeah, a Sunday morning, it'll be 10 a.m. Eastern live on YouTube, the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara, Twitter at SickPodBrowns, at Andy MC81, and Instagram at Andy MC Sports. And this will be, Josh, I think a very important fantasy week, because so many of these teams and games are going to be used up by Sunday, that those roster lineups, there's going to be few and far between if you're dealing with an injury or whatever. So it's going to be very important. You get your questions in, use hashtag AskAndy, 10 a.m. Eastern, Sick Podcast on YouTube.
There you go. Andy, appreciate you jumping on today. Happy American Thanksgiving. Enjoy the football tomorrow.
Yes, you too. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. See ya.
And that's the Power Hour. We wrapped it up here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. By the way, shout out to Jeff in Summers Point, who chimed in on the text board. It says, Josh, we're thankful for you. Always love listening. By the way, I got a couple fireballs and beers as we speak. It's Blackout Wednesday. Oh, my goodness. Blackout Wednesday. That's what we're calling it now. I know a lot of people go out Thanksgiving Eve night. I've actually only been out, I think, once for Thanksgiving Eve night, just because of the way the work schedule works. It's when you work in a business like this, you don't always have the luxury of going out, because maybe you got to wake up Thanksgiving. Like for years, I worked up Thanksgiving morning for high school football. I don't have to do that anymore. So, all right. Thanks to Dave Weinberg. Thanks, Andy McNamara. Thanks to all of you listening on 97.3 ESPN. Happy Thanksgiving. Be safe, everyone.
Join us for a Thanksgiving Day full of football. Hi, this is Scott Graham of Westwood One. First, the Detroit Lions host the Green Bay Packers. Then it's an NFC East tilt when the Washington Commanders take on the Cowboys in Dallas. And finally, the San Francisco 49ers face the Seahawks on Thanksgiving night. Our special holiday coverage begins at 12 noon Eastern Time. If it's the NFL, it's right here.
Happy Thanksgiving from all of us at 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at noon.